U.S. backs Inec on BVAS, threatens visa ban on election riggers. The United States has threatened sanctions, including visa restrictions, on anyone who interferes with the democratic process or instigates violence in the 2023 general elections. The United States has threatened sanctions, including visa restrictions, on anyone who interferes with the democratic process or instigates violence in the 2023 general election. U.S. also threw its weight behind the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to deploy the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System (BVAS) and electronic transmission of results for the poll. Political counselors at the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, Rolf Olson, gave the warning on behalf of the U.S. government at the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship Alumni Association annual seminar on promoting electoral integrity in Nigeria, prospects and challenges in Abuja yesterday. Olson, however, maintained that U.S. does not have a candidate in the upcoming election, while it supports all efforts to ensure the integrity of 2023 elections. Recall that the U.S. government had imposed visa restrictions on some individuals for their actions during the November 2019 Kogi and Bayelsa elections and in the run-up to the September and October 2020 Edo and Ondo elections. Although U.S. did not reveal the identities of those who have been banned, it said the decision reflects its commitment to strengthening democracy in Nigeria. On the 2023 election, Olson said the United States does not support any individual candidate or party in this election cycle. Our interest is in supporting credible and transparent elections that reflect the will of Nigerian voters in a process that is conducted peacefully, full stop. Individuals seeking to undermine the democratic process, including through violence, may be found ineligible for visas to the United States. We have imposed visa restrictions on the past against those responsible for or complicit in undermining the democratic process and remain fully willing to do so again in the context of the upcoming election. He advised parties, candidates, and their supporters to avoid language that tries to guarantee victory, adding that there is no true democratic election in which the outcome is foretold. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, disclosed that 176,846 BVAS would be deployed to all polling units in the country, adding that the Commission will make available at least 2 BVS devices as backup to each of the 8,809 registration areas. While lamenting that the Commission's platforms were always subject to attack by political actors and faceless individuals and groups using hackers, Okoye said INEC is faced with the huge challenge of protecting its platforms and access ahead of the general elections. He assured that INEC's data recovery centers will be upgraded and all its platforms enhanced. Okoye urged Nigerians to be vigilant by protecting their votes on election day, adding that INEC is firm on its resolve to conduct free, fair, transparent, and inclusive elections. The Commission will continue to be open and transparent in its technological innovations because election business is public business and the public has a right to know what the Commission is doing. Also, INEC has vowed to punish officials involved in the infractions and registration of underage voters during the last continuous voter registration CVR exercise. The Commission, however, maintained that proof of underage and multiple registration in each preliminary voter register is committed to transparency. Okoye said the Commission cannot rule out infractions by its registration officials in allowing these ineligible persons into register in the first place. So far, the Commission has been harvesting the online claims and objections. We will do the same for the manual process. At the end of the exercise, all claims and objections made will be addressed. In this way, citizens are contributing to the strengthening of our electoral process. We implore the public to follow the procedures and report these objections for the necessary actions of the Commission. Vice President of the Hubert Humphrey Fellowship Association and immediate past head of Publicity Division of Inec, Andy Ezani, who moderated the seminar, paid tribute to the U.S. government for establishing the fellowship. Inec, at the end of its automated biometric identification system (ABIS), yesterday identified 2,780,756 as the number of ineligible registrants in Kano State. Wow, 2.7 million. The new resident electoral commissioner, REC in Kano, Zango Abdul, during a meeting with election stakeholders, said the preliminary register of voters in Kano currently stands at 5,927,565. It is preliminary because Section 19, Subsection 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act 2022 requires the Commission to display the hard copies of the register of voters for each registration area or ward and local government area and simultaneously publish the entire register on the Commission's website for a period of 2 weeks for scrutiny, claims, and objections by citizens not later than 90 days to a general election. Also, the REC reiterated that the Commission, as mandated by law, will continue to monitor the activities of political parties as well as track the campaign finances of all political parties as provided by Section 83, 85, 87, 88, 90, 91, 92, and 95 of the Electoral Act of 2022. To this end, he urged politicians to critically study and pay attention to the provisions of the Constitution, Electoral Act, Police Act, and Public Order Act for the proper and peaceful conduct of political party campaigns, rallies, and processions. Similarly, the resident electoral commissioner stressed that there would be no going back on deployment of bimodal voter accreditation system for voter accreditation and the transmission of results to the Inec result viewing portal on election day. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police IGP Usman Akali Baba, flanked by members of Nigeria's intelligence community, have warned political parties and governors against the use of thugs to disrupt political activities and rallies of opponents in their state. The IGP gave the warning at the police headquarters Abuja yesterday while addressing political parties, INEC, and other electoral stakeholders. According to the IGP, the meeting was urgently convened to discuss issues of electoral violence and other negative tendencies identified within the electoral process following the commencement of political campaigns, which constitute potent threats to the elections. The meeting, which was chaired by the IGP, had in attendance chairmen and representatives of 17 registered political parties, INEC chairman, who was represented by Mrs. May Agbamuche Mbo, Director General, National Intelligence Agency, Mr. Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, Chief of Defense Intelligence, Major General S.A. Adebayo, Director General, Department of State Services, represented by Director of Operations, Mr. Joseph Dostrip. The police boss noted that so far, about 52 cases of political violence have been recorded since the commencement of campaigns in late September, while warning that the police will not hesitate to address the emerging problem. He urged politicians to desist from violence. Political violence manifests in three forms. First is violence that is targeted at INEC personnel and assets, as recently witnessed in Ogun and Osun State. The second form is inter-party intolerance and violence, which often become particularly pronounced during campaigns, elections, and post-election phases. The last form of political violence relates to the conduct of some governors who manifest traits of political intolerance, which often inflame political tension. In this regard, we have been receiving reports of some governors who encourage political thugs and sub-national security outfits under their control to disrupt seamless and statutorily guaranteed campaign activities of parties or candidates with whom they hold opposing political views. In so doing, they deploy their powers and influences to either prevent the mounting of campaign billboards or pull them down, while also denying political opponents of spaces to undertake their campaigns or peaceful political congregations in contravention of the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, the IGP stated. A chieftain of Labour Party, Professor Pat Otomi, has lamented the non-distribution of permanent voters' cards in Inec coffers, alleging that at least 9.3 million of such cards are lying idle in the Commission's office. Otomi stated this yesterday when he, alongside the chief spokesman of the Peter Obi Dati Ahmed Presidential Campaign Council (PCC), Dr. Tanko Yusuf, and others, led an advocacy walk to INEC headquarters under the aegis of the Big Tent. Otomi, who is leader of the National Coalition Front and convener of the Big Tent, a coalition of political parties, social movements, and civil society organizations, urged INEC to decentralize the process of PVC collection and, if possible, take the card to the doorsteps of Nigerians. He queried the necessity of having PVC as a requirement for voting, saying with biometric authentication of a potential voter, there was no need to have a physical card. Receiving the petition on behalf of INEC, an assistant director at the headquarters, Kelechi Maduneme, said the commission does not have the capacity to distribute PVCs, stating that Nigerians have to go to their respective INEC local government offices across the country to collect the cards. It is the responsibility of every registered voter to go and collect their PVC. A lot of PVCs have been printed, and as we speak, the Commission has commenced the display of the temporary register of voters, so every Nigerian has the opportunity to visit the polling unit to check their details. This is a very good one. United States coming to threaten, visa ban and some other forms of restrictions and sanctions against anyone that will promote election violence, rigging of election outcomes, and all of that. This is a very good development, and INEC and IGP have taken proactive steps to make sure that all of these prevalent problems around campaign violence and around rigging and several other vices that will hamper the smooth conduction of the election, to put them to rest. And this is a very good one. And Pat Otomi also led a team to verify that a lot of voters' cards that have been printed are lying in INEC's offices uncollected, and encourages INEC to make sure that these cards are made available to the voters who have registered, either by opening several more offices for people to collect the card or take the cards to their doorstep. But unfortunately, the INEC rep is saying that INEC does not have the capacity to take cards to the doorstep of Nigerians, that people should go to all the INEC offices in all the local government of the Federation to go and collect their PVCs. I think a lot of proactive measures are being taken to curb violence and rigging of this forthcoming election. And the good thing here is that INEC has further reiterated that they will not condone registration of underage voters into the INEC system. And at the same time, that electronic transmission of votes from the polling units will be done. It is a short deal that they will do that. And the deployment of BVAS is also in progress and will be used for voters accreditation electronically prior to election. This is a very good move, and we hope that they will sustain it. And we also hope that the political bigwigs, the political influencers in Nigeria will not sabotage this INEC and IGP effort in conducting a free and fair election come 2023. Thank you for listening, and this is what United States, the INEC, the IGP, and all other concerned entities have to say about the smooth conduction and preparation for the 2023 election. Let's have your comment and your view below as well.